You're sitting in that meeting when your coworker does it again. He explains your own project back to you as if you weren't the one who built it from the ground up. Or it's Tuesday night and your partner dismisses your concern with 2 words. You're being dramatic. 3rd time this month. Or maybe it's Thanksgiving dinner and your aunt delivers that perfectly calibrated insult, the one that hits exactly where she knows it hurts, then laughs like it was just a joke. You feel it before you can name it. Heat climbing your neck, your jaw locking, your heart suddenly loud in your ears, pounding against your ribs like it's trying to escape. Your mouth opens. The comeback is right there, perfectly formed, sharp enough to burn them to ash, and then nothing. You go completely still. Your face empties. They mistake it for surrender. Later, hours later, maybe days, you replay it endlessly. Why didn't I say something? Why do I always freeze? What's wrong with me? But consider this. What if that silence wasn't weakness? What if it wasn't a failure of strength? What if that blank stare was actually your body's most sophisticated defense system activating in real time, protecting you from a cost you can't see but your nervous system absolutely can? If you want to understand why your smartest move might be the one that looks like no move at all, make sure you're subscribed, because what I'm about to explain will change how you see conflict. That blank expression everyone interprets as passivity is actually your prefrontal cortex engaging in a high-stakes neurological negotiation, and it may be saving your life. When someone disrespects you, your amygdala, an ancient almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain, activates immediately. This is your threat detection system. And when that coworker condescends to you, when your partner dismisses you, your amygdala doesn't distinguish between social threat and actual danger. It processes disrespect as a survival threat. Within 200 milliseconds, faster than you can consciously register what just happened, it triggers your HPR axis. Your hypothalamus signals your pituitary gland, which signals your adrenal glands to flood your system with cortisol and adrenaline. Your body is preparing you to fight or run. Most people let the amygdala drive. They snap back, they defend, they escalate, but that's not really a conversation. That's 2 amygdalas fighting, 2 ancient lizard brains defending territory. When you don't react, something different happens. Your prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive center for logic and planning, sends inhibitory signals down to dampen the amygdala's alarm before it reaches your mouth. This is active neural inhibition, high-speed emotional regulation. It's not passive. It's not weakness. It's a deliberate override of superior brain architecture. This matters because every time you do react, you're not just losing an argument. You're making a withdrawal from what neuroscientist Bruce McEwen called your allostatic load, essentially, your body's stress budget. Every heated argument, every defensive snapback, every engagement with someone's toxicity, you're paying a biological tax that manifests as elevated baseline cortisol, increased cardiovascular strain, suppressed immune function, and accelerated cellular aging. Chronic anger and reactivity are linked to higher rates of heart disease, autoimmune disorders, and cancer. Your body keeps the receipts even when your mind forgets the fight. So that silence isn't coldness. It's not being a doormat. It's biological self-preservation. It's your body refusing to pay a tax for someone you don't respect. Your brain is protecting you on a cellular level. But there's something more sophisticated happening in that silence. 9 distinct psychological mechanisms that most people never recognize. When you choose silence, 9 psychological mechanisms work in concert. 9 reasons why non-reactivity isn't passive, but strategic. Reason 1, self-differentiation. This comes from Murray Bowen's family systems theory. It's the capacity to maintain your sense of self while remaining emotionally connected to others, being an I within a group we. Most people have low differentiation. They're in emotional fusion. When you yell, they have to yell back because your emotion has hijacked their nervous system. They can't separate their feelings from yours. A highly differentiated woman can sit in a room with someone's rage and not absorb it into her body. Her silence isn't disconnection. It's the presence of a thinking brain that refuses to let the feeling brain take control. Reason 2, conservation of resources. Psychologist Stephen Hobfall's theory states that stress occurs when precious resources, time, energy, peace, health, are threatened or lost. Every interaction is a transaction. Deposits versus withdrawals. She's calculating in real time, is this person worth the withdrawal from my emotional bank account? Usually the answer is no. Will engaging with this improve my life in any measurable way, or am I just feeding someone else's chaos? Reason 3, refusing projective identification. This is Melanie Klein's concept. Aggressors often unconsciously try to dump their internal shame, inadequacy, or rage onto another person to relieve their own discomfort. The mechanism works like this. They provoke you. You react with anger. Now you're holding their emotional burden, and they feel temporarily relieved. By not reacting, she refuses to be the receptacle. She forces the projector to take their burden back. That rage they're trying to hand you, she declines it. It belongs to them. Reason 4. Operant extinction. In behavioral psychology, a behavior that is not reinforced eventually decreases and stops. For years, your reaction was their reward. Your distress proved they had power over you. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding the behavior. But there's a critical warning. It will get worse before it gets better. The aggressor will escalate, louder, meaner, more outrageous, in a desperate attempt to get their usual response. This is called the extinction burst. If you can withstand this spike without breaking, the behavior dies. It's like a toddler's tantrum. The first time you don't give in, they scream harder. But if you stay firm, they eventually learn the tantrum doesn't work. Reason 5. Internal locus of control. This is Julian Rotter's concept, the belief that her actions and decisions, not external forces or others' opinions, determine the outcomes of her life. The trap is needing to defend yourself to everyone who challenges you. That gives them power to define your reality. But with an internal locus of control, the calculus changes. Your opinion of me is none of my business. I know who I am. Your distortion doesn't require my correction. The litmus test. If you need me to react to feel powerful, you're already powerless. Reason 6. The grey rock method. This is a clinical technique for managing toxic or narcissistic people by becoming as uninteresting and non-responsive as a grey rock. These personalities feed on emotional supply, drama, reaction, attention, flat effect, one-word answers, zero emotional inflection. You starve them out. Critical distinction. This is strategic disengagement for protection, not stonewalling for punishment. Stonewalling is a weapon used to hurt. Grey rock is a shield used to survive. Reason 7. Energy reciprocity assessment. The adult realization that not every relationship deserves equal energy investment. She's mentally categorizing people. Deposits they add to my life. Withdrawals, they drain me. Once you're categorized as a withdrawal, you get grey rock. It's not personal. It's energetic hygiene. Reason 8. Dignity preservation. Understanding that some arguments lower you just by participating. Engaging with certain people at their level requires you to descend to a place beneath your values. She won't wrestle a pig. She knows they both get dirty, but the pig likes it. Reason 9. The intrapsychic phase. Steve Duck's relationship dissolution model describes this as the first stage. Private, internal evaluation of relationship costs and benefits. The paradox, while the other person thinks the peace means things are fine, she's mentally processing the paperwork of detachment. Women often voice their needs for years. When they finally go silent, it's not peace, it's completion. They've already grieved the relationship while still standing in the room. 9 reasons, 9 layers of psychological sophistication. But insight without application is just intellectual entertainment. Now for the practical deployment. 4 scenarios you'll face this month and exactly what to do. Scenario 1, the condescending colleague. You're in a meeting, mid-sentence explaining your project. When he interrupts, actually, what Sarah is trying to say is, or worse, he presents your idea as his own. You feel it immediately. Heat in your face, your mouth opening to correct him publicly. Your protocol, if they interrupt or condescend, deploy the thoughtful pause. Take a 3-second breath. Count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. This physiologically disrupts the amygdala cascade before it takes over. Then respond with strategic neutrality. I'll consider that perspective or interesting take. Non-defensive acknowledgement that gives them nothing. This works because you've denied them the drama they're seeking. You've maintained your professional capital. Reactivity equals loss of credibility. And you've created space to address it strategically later. That 3-second pause prevents the cortisol spike that would impair your decision-making for the next 2 to 3 hours. The advanced move. After the meeting, document it privately via email. To recap, in today's meeting I presented X strategy, including the implementation timeline I outlined. You've created a paper trail without public conflict. Scenario 2. The emotionally immature partner. They pick a fight about something trivial. You loaded the dishwasher wrong. You're always on your phone. Why are you so sensitive? This is the bait. Recognize this isn't about the dishwasher. This is about power or attention or unprocessed emotion from their day. If they deploy the bait, recognize this might be an extinction burst. This is the last ditch effort. If you don't engage, this pattern dies. Then verbalize the boundary. I hear you're upset. I need some time to process before I respond. And then, this is critical, you actually take it. Leave the room. Go for a walk. Take a shower. This is not stonewalling, which is punitive withdrawal designed to hurt them. This is strategic pause, which is self-regulation designed to protect the relationship from a reactive self. The difference, intent plus communication. You're telling them you need space. You're not punishing them with silence. The advanced move, later when you're both calm, address the pattern, not the incident. I've noticed we have this same fight every few weeks. What's really going on? This is high-level emotional intelligence. The warning, if you find yourself consistently needing to retreat and the silence is becoming permanent numbness, that's not strategy. That's duck's intrapsychic phase. You may have already emotionally exited. Scenario 3, the manipulative family member. Holiday dinner. They deliver the passive-aggressive comment designed to provoke. Must be nice not having kids to worry about. I see you're still doing that little hobby of yours. They want one of two outcomes. Either you defend yourself publicly or you visibly hurt. Either way, they win. If they deliver the poison comment, use grey rock plus immediate redirect. Flat facial expression, minimal acknowledgement, instant topic change. Example, 2-second pause while you take a sip of water. Can someone pass the potatoes? Mom, this recipe is amazing. This works because projective identification fails when you refuse to accept the projected shame. They're left holding their own toxicity with nowhere to put it. You didn't create a scene which maintains family peace, but you didn't absorb the poison which maintains your peace. Expect them to escalate throughout dinner. Stay grey rock. They'll eventually give up and find a different target. Optional advanced move if you must maintain the relationship. Address it later, privately. When you made that comment about my career, it felt dismissive. Was that your intent? You force them to either apologize or own their toxicity. Scenario 4, the boundary testing stranger. Someone you barely know asks an inappropriate question or makes an invasive comment. If they cross a boundary, deploy strategic confusion. Furrow your brow slightly. Tilt your head. Pause for 3 seconds. Then, I'm not sure how to respond to that, or that's an interesting thing to say to someone. Alternative approach, literal silence plus sustained eye contact for 5 full seconds. This is excruciating for the boundary crosser. This works because you're not explaining why it's inappropriate, which would put the burden on you. You're reflecting the awkwardness back to them. The 30-day neural rewiring practice. Week 1, awareness. Just notice when you feel the amygdala activation. Don't try to change anything. Just observe. There it is. Heat in my chest. Jaw clenching. Week 2, the pause. Add the 3-second pause before responding in all situations, even low-stakes ones. The barista gets your order wrong. A friend texts something annoying. You're building the neural pathway. Week 3, post-game analysis. After each non-reaction, journal. What resource did I conserve? What did I not pay the biological tax on? How does my body feel compared to when I would have reacted? Week 4, integration. The prefrontal amygdala inhibitory pathway is strengthening. The pause starts to feel automatic rather than forced. Your emergency mantra for high-stress moments: not everyone deserves access to my nervous system. And one final note of self-compassion: you will fail at this. You will react sometimes. That's not failure. That's data. Notice what triggered the breach. Adjust. Continue. These tools work. I've watched them transform relationships, rescue health, and restore self-respect. Now for what changes when this stops being a technique and starts being your identity. 6 months in, the changes become measurable. You wake up rested instead of just awake. Lower baseline cortisol means you're actually entering deep sleep cycles for the first time in years. Your skin clears. Your digestion improves. Your thinking sharpens. Stress hormones wreak havoc on all of these systems, and the gut-brain axis finally calms when you stop feeding it conflict. Your cardiovascular system gets measurable protection. Reduced allostatic load means lower blood pressure, less strain on your heart. You stop aging in argument years. Women notice you look different, but they can't pinpoint why. It's the absence of chronic stress etched in your face. And the energy. You have energy for things that actually matter. Your work, your creativity, your joy, because you're not spending it on people who don't deserve the investment. Your social ecosystem recalibrates. Toxic people naturally drift away when they realize you're no longer a supply source. You don't have to cut people off. They cut themselves off when you stop feeding the dynamic. Meanwhile, high-quality people, those with emotional maturity, reciprocity, integrity, move closer because they appreciate your boundaries. Your relationships get deeper because you're not managing everyone else's emotions. You finally have space for genuine intimacy. People respect you more, not because you're aggressive, but because you're unavailable for disrespect. But for those in long-term partnerships, track whether your silence is strategy or completion. If you find yourself no longer hurt by their behavior, just observing it, mentally calculating exit logistics, finances, living situations, feeling a peace that's actually detachment rather than resolution. That's Duck's intrapsychic phase. The peace you feel isn't the relationship healing. It's you finishing the internal paperwork of leaving. Don't mistake numbness for harmony. Sometimes the healthiest use of non-reactivity is giving yourself space to recognize you're already gone. The language in your head shifts from I'm trying to not react, tentative, external behavior, to I'm someone who protects her peace, permanent, internal identity. Someone else's chaos is not your emergency. Outcomes are determined by your choices, not others' provocations. I don't need you to understand my silence. I don't need you to approve of my boundaries. I need me to understand understand my worth. The ripple effect follows. Younger women are watching. Daughters, nieces, mentees. They're watching you navigate conflict with dignity, and you're teaching them that power doesn't have to be loud. You become the woman younger versions of yourself needed to see. 5 years from now, you'll look back at the version of you who gave her nervous system away for free to anyone with an opinion. You'll barely recognize her, and you'll be grateful she learnt. This was never about becoming cold. It was about becoming sovereign. Your attention, currency. Your reaction, currency. Your energy, currency. Your peace, priceless. You've finally learned what they're worth. More importantly, you've learned what you're worth. That coworker's condescending comment, it still happened. That partner's dismissive tone, still there. That family member's barb, still landed. But the woman who received them is fundamentally, neurologically, spiritually different. Her nervous system is hers again. Her dignity is non-negotiable. Her silence is sovereignty, and she's never going back. Which of these 9 reasons resonated most with you? Share in the comments, I read every one. And if you're committed to doing this work alongside women who are reclaiming their peace, hit subscribe. We're building something here. A community of women who understand that the most powerful thing you can say is sometimes nothing at all.